Well, I'm happy to talk to you about mentoring. And we're kind of drawing to a close on this section about that, but let me remind you of what we would consider real mentoring. It is life on life discipleship. It's living and sharing life with each other. It's loving the person like they were a part of your family. So you're so deeply involved with them. This isn't a from the pulpit to the pew kind of relationship. It is look, I am going to spend time with you. We get that perfect example in the life of Jesus Christ. If you'll be honest, he walked up and down through the hills and the valleys and the coast and the mountains with 12 guys. They slept in the same place. They ate together. They worked together. They prayed together. And I am sure they played together. And so they had life together. That's what we would consider mentoring. So you got to remember, it is much more than a series of lessons. It is you pouring your life into another person. It's you sharing everything God's taught you with somebody else. It is, as we've seen, and I'm being repetitive here, but it is, as we've seen, withness, with dash ness, Mark 3:14. It is you and I spending time with them that we might send them forth to preach. So no series of lessons involved here. It is life on life. Now that doesn't mean that there won't be lessons. It doesn't mean there won't be discussions. It just means that it's much more than a classroom. In America, we are very accustomed to, if you're going to teach or train somebody, they set themselves down in seats. We stand in at a pulpit or a platform or a lectern with a blackboard and we teach. But that's not how Paul did it. That's not how Jesus did it. I believe that Christian men and women are hungry for godly input and accountability in their lives. I believe that one of the marks of a spiritual leader is your passion to shape and assist other believers in their journey of faith. I really believe that with all my heart. I believe that you and I should work at helping form young men and women to be what God has called them to be. So let me just go along with you just a little bit in these closing videos about what it means. It means that you will come alongside of and love the people that you're training. Now you're going to have to spend 80% of your time with the 12, with the chosen, with the elected ones, with whoever you're picking to work with and train. And I would hope that a man would be training young men, and I would hope that ladies would train ladies, and you're going to spend 80% of your time with them, and you're going to help form them in their Bible study and their prayer and how they pay their bills and how they love their spouse and how they treat others and how they forgive and how they grow spiritually to be what God wants them to be. And then you're going to spend like 20% of your time, and that's what you'll do in the pulpit, and that's what you'll do with the great majority. I challenge you to go back and read what Jesus did. Let's consider what he did. You know, we have the Sermon on the Mount, and we could go through and find several times when he sat down to preach, several times. But you know, the majority of the Gospels is about him walking around with his disciples. They come into town, and yes, he speaks, and yes, he heals, and yes, he feeds, but he's with the guys. He gets time he needs to be alone, and he takes the guys, and they go to be alone. He is spending his time on purpose training them. And that's exactly what the Apostle Paul taught Timothy to do. He said, Timothy, you know what you've heard me teach. You know that other people have heard it, and I'm teaching it to you, and I want you to find somebody to teach it to who will teach it to somebody else. It's a chain. Keep it going. And so this is something they have to be faithful, and they have to be able. And he was writing a letter from a preacher to a preacher, a pastor to a pastor, a missionary to a missionary, and telling him what he expected in the work. So that's what we're working on accomplishing in our churches, in our lives, in our ministries, to help to get the gospel out to the world. So what we'll do is we'll spend 80% of my time training these young men. Now, you got a ton of work you got to do, and you don't have time for that. But you know what? They can go on visitation with you, and that's togetherness. That's what Jesus did. You can go to the hospital. That's togetherness. You're on your way there. You're on your way back. You got things you can do there. They can do counseling with you. They can help you clean the church if that's what you have to do. They can help you mow the grass if that's what you have to do. They can help you at doing things around your house. I mean, it's just a matter of he's my family, he's with me, and I'm spending time with him. I got a couple of more things for you this week on mentoring, and I pray that this will be a blessing and help you.